This is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. My co-host, Bill Morton, president of the Rogers Parker Chamber of Commerce, is recovering, but he still hasn't been able to be with us today. My name is Trudy Leong, administrator of the Rogers Parker Chamber of Commerce. My two very special guests today are Bushra Amiwala, who is running for the Illinois 9th Congressional District, and R. Cary Capparelli, who is running for U.S. Senate. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, Cary, what does R stand for?
I'm not telling you. I got rid of it a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Well, it's I see it pop up here and there.
I legally changed it.
Okay. All right. So you have been on the Illinois Banking and Real Estate Board from 1997 to 1999. So what did you do there? And what does that board oversee?
You know, it was an opportunity to, being a public member on that board wasn't something that everybody was running to try to get on. My father convinced me to sit on it. And I'll be honest with you, the banking industry was well over my head.
Oh. Well, did you feel that you did anything that was valuable, and what did you learn over there that you could apply to your position that you're running for?
I learned procedure.
Robert's rules, or what? What kind of procedure?
Well, I can't comment any further. I just saw how things were orderly done. It was some time ago.
Okay. Bushra, so you are running for Jen Schakowsky's seat, and all over your website, you are very adamant about education especially for college students, and raising the minimum wage. However, I've always kind of felt that if, let's say, we raise the minimum wage to $25, then rent increases and everything else increases as well. It seems as if it's a non-ending vicious cycle. Is there any way in your position that you could control that so that the playing field, the living field for people, for your constituents, is more bearable, because it's always like that. You raise the minimum wage and then everything else rises as well.
Mm-hmm. We see right now that the federal minimum wage hasn't been increased for decades right now. And it already is so not close to what the cost of living is right now that increasing it to a $25 minimum wage or a $20 minimum wage is the bare minimum incrementally of where we need to be.
And what is it now?
Right now, federally, it's $7.25.
That's There's Do you know which positions now actually use that wage?
Yeah, there's various states, honestly, that still abide by that. We're lucky in Illinois. We have a $15 statewide minimum wage, so it doesn't impact us in Illinois as much as it does nationally. But what we do have is it's making sure small businesses are given subsidies to be able to afford to pay their workers at that rate as well, because that, I think, is the biggest piece that I see missing in the minimum wage conversation.
So when prices go up, it's because the business owners have to pay more, and then they raise their prices, right? Because it seems as if it's a never-ending cycle. There's always rent goes up, everything goes up once the minimum wage goes up.
I would argue that rent is going up regardless, so paying people who work a fair, livable wage at the minimum is just course-correcting the damage that already is being done.
What about addressing rent and property taxes? You don't mention that much on your website, but we have been working with the so-called tax doctor, and he advocates reducing units of government in Illinois, and then also having property taxes no longer cover public education entirely, reverted back to the general fund, and that's very helpful. States that do that, there's the property tax burden would go away.
I actually have my own piece of legislation that I have at the federal level, what we can do to address property taxes, and I call it the Books Not Bombs Act, where we take 1% of our defense budget and it's allocated to the education fund, which leads to a 10% increase in federal funding for public education to alleviate the burden off of property taxpayers, renters, and homeowners. So your zip code doesn't determine the quality of life and access to public education your families receive.
So in other words, let's say the poorer districts, they would receive better education than they do now. What about the wealthier districts? Would the quality of their education be impacted?
It would actually be net neutral. So the benefit of this is now the communities that live in, whether they be affluent and or lower income neighborhoods, that burden is taken off of families. That is now money being put back into families' pockets that otherwise was being used to send bombs, weapons, and missiles abroad.
So do you know who is supporting this kind of reform, and also who is against it?
So it's a net new piece of legislation I have not written yet. Once I get elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, I look forward to being the person that writes this legislation. I would not be surprised if something like this gets bipartisan support as well.
Okay. So, Cary, you were also a board member of the Illinois International Port from 2000 to 2009. So that was 9 years. What happened over there? What did you learn that you could apply?
That board operated completely different than the banking board. The banking board consisted of 30, 40 members, so things were very argumentative at times. People were always positioning. Whereas at the Illinois International Port, which is a very profitable entity, things moved quite smoothly and everybody moved in unison. It didn't matter which party you were with, everybody had the same goal.
And what were the issues? What were the goals?
Well, when I left there, the goal was Homeland Security. There was a lot of concern at the time about keeping the port safe. Prior to that, and keeping infrastructure up to date. So things break over time, and we had to keep the infrastructure up, and profitability.
Okay. So what is the state of infrastructure now? Is it there's always talk that the infrastructure is deteriorating. Is it deteriorating, and what would you do about it if it
Well,
is?
again, I haven't been there in 15 years.
I understand.
But, if you're driving by the Dan Ryan Expressway just past that, when you go by the International Port, you can see the grain silos. They do look like they're falling apart and that they need maintenance.
So what would you do? If let's say you're in the seat, and what would you do concerning international trade?
Well, what would I do with what? With the silos or?
The port, let's say, and then how to improve international trade. What is the state of international trade now, and
Well,
how would you address
as
that?
you know, Illinois does a lot of exportation of farm products, and it's up to the state and the city, because there's always an argument there. Do we call it the Illinois International Port or Chicago International Port? But,
So what do we call it, and who controls it? Illinois?
well, both the governor and the mayor have seats on the port where they assign and nominate commissioners to the board of directors. So nobody really has complete control, except they argue over the name.
That's it. Okay. So what have you learned over there that you could apply toward your seat?
Well, exportation.
Okay.
That's just one small segment of foreign policy.
And what would you do to increase exports?
Well, first of all, they have to increase the ability for the port to operate.
Okay.
And that's up to the state and it's up to the city, since they're the entities that run the port. So it's not a federal position.
Okay. And is it in your power to help? Would federal dollars help improve the condition of the port? And is there any? I know that you don't run it, but do they rely on any federal dollars? Do you know?
Federal dollars does have an impact, yes.
Okay. And would you? Is that an important part of your oversight as a U.S. senator? That part regarding international trade.
Well, it certainly has an effect on the people of Illinois. So if you're going to represent Illinois, you're going to look for those things that will be of benefit to the citizens of the state.
So when you were getting signatures, what did your constituents or possible future constituents talk about the most?
You know, at that stage of the game, when you're gathering signatures, of which we had to get a minimum of 5,000 and a maximum of 10,000, and Walter and I put together 7,200. People really don't discuss items, issues per se. You know, usually they just want to get it out of the way.
Oh, they don't ask you about what you stand for?
There are very few people.
Okay, all right, thank you. What about you, Bushra? When you were getting signatures, did you knock on any doors, and what would people tell you?
We still see the same topics come up that came up during petition circulation season, which was back in September, which is hard to believe, but it was housing, healthcare, groceries, it was education and immigration. And I feel like those are the top three buckets of issues that still come up even right now. A lot of people that are fearful of the ACA subsidies that are now being lost at the federal level. People are seeing that they're buying almost half as many groceries for double the price right now. We're seeing people that are mentioning immigration and they're terrified of Trump's secret police in our neighborhoods and ICE's role in our country from a productive standpoint.
Mm-hmm. And how would you address these issues as a U.S. Senator? And like right now, what would you do that the current senator is not doing?
Yeah, so first I would be a co-sponsor of Medicare for All. It is the logical mode for our country to adopt to for every single person in this country to have a single universal model public funded healthcare option. Second, on immigration, I would abolish ICE. ICE has only been around for 23 years. I've been around longer than ICE has. And ICE is a racist institution that was created out of 9/11 that immediately diverted its attention to our Latino brothers and sisters. And then, of course, I mentioned education earlier about trying to increase federal funding for public education. And these are the three core tenets that, regardless of whether one is in Evanston or Skokie, or up in Cary and Algonquin, these are the 5 to 3 universal identifying factors that people care about.
Sometimes when you increase funding, you have to look at some extra sides too. For instance, when we had the Illinois state lottery funds proceeds go to education, then all that happened was that the money went to education, and then they reduced the education at other funds so that the money remained the same. Could you, if you are a U.S. Senator, could you make sure that if we get federal funding for education, that does not happen, that other funding does not go with it? We actually get an increase of federal funding instead of the same old funding.
Absolutely. I mean, serving on a school board for the past 7 years, we've seen the way during the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal funded ESSER funds that our schools were a beneficiary of, we've seen in the past 5 years that now we don't receive COVID-19 relief grants because COVID technically is not something that is as much of a public health crisis as it was 5 years ago. So we see the way that funding has not only increased benefit for students with individual educational learning plans, and we now see the lack thereof funding and the impact that's having in our schools. So absolutely.
So what would you feel if you could tell? So instead of the funding going to schools, where is the funding being diverted to? And then is there anything that you could do to make sure that diverted funds go back to education as a U.S. Senator?
I mean, it's going to DHS or Department of Homeland Security. It's going to ICE, literally. ICE just got a $7.5 billion multi-year funding bill, right? And where does that come from? That comes from our healthcare. That comes from our education. That money that should be benefiting our students being educated in our country is going to pay bombs, missiles, and weapons to countries abroad as well.
And would you be able to build a coalition to actually stop it? Because the people are against it, but I really don't see Congress doing anything about it now?
You know,
about
that's-
what's happening. Mhm.
Of course. And that's why my election matters so much, because I'm running for Congress in a safe blue district, in a safe blue seat, in a safe blue city where we have a governor that is a Democratic governor, meaning the political capital and the political courage that a candidate like me is able to exude means I have the responsibility to build those coalitions and not worry about a MAGA funded Republican primarying me just 2 years from now either. And a lot of that coalition already exists in Congress, such as the Squad, and I would be an additional member of that.
Okay, awesome. Cary, what is your position on education and on, let's say, public safety?
Let me back up here, because I noticed a couple of inconsistencies and some corrections needed. First of all, when you're a congressperson, you're not a senator. You're a representative.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
I knew what you meant.
Yes.
Number two, it's Democrat, not Democratic, the name of the party. Democratic is a philosophy, a political philosophy. It's often made, even Sean Hannity makes this mistake on Fox all the time. So that's important. And number three, there's no such thing as Trump's secret police.
Okay. So, what is your position on public safety then?
You know what? I'm going to tell you what my main priority is. The biggest issue, in my opinion, is foreign policy. Because foreign policy has a direct impact on every component that the government is supposed to do. So foreign policy is number one. And on my website, I list all the Senate priorities.
Okay. List them again over here, and then I will talk a little bit about them.
For sure. I have them right here. Borders define a nation. So we have to maintain our borders. And that's why President Trump was elected. He was elected on his immigration policies.
So, since you have delved into immigration policies, what do you feel about do you know the percentage of the undocumented immigrants who are actually criminals? What percentage of that population is actually criminals? Has there been any research done by the government to determine that?
I can tell you this, and I know this is accurate. Less than 1% of the people that have been arrested were legal. So meaning they were accidentally, these were legal people that belonged here, and they were accidentally arrested.
I know, but there is a lot of talk about getting the hardened criminals, the very bad criminals, off the street. So of the undocumented people that have been arrested or that are still in the U.S. population, what percentage of those undocumented people are hardened criminals?
Well, good question, and I know the answer to this one. About over 7,000 people are violent criminals.
Okay, and then about
And
how many?
Let me finish, please.
Okay.
And the number of people that are arrested that are illegal surpasses 79%. And by illegal, just crossing the border over illegally is unlawful. And that's
Okay.
the number. It's a high number.
Okay, so what do you mean is that 79% of the people that have been arrested are illegal?
Correct.
Okay, and then of that 79%, 7,000 are violent criminals. So that 79% is, what's the number? How many people comprise that 79%?
I can't give you the exact number because when I did my research on this, it only gave me the percentage.
Well, thanks for doing the research because oftentimes it seems as if not that many violent offenders are being arrested.
Well, you know what? That brings up another topic.
Go ahead.
Mainstream media is very biased. You know, when I started my college, I majored in journalism, and a course that I had to take that was very challenging was communications law and ethics. And when I talk to journalists today, do they still offer that course? And the answer is always no.
Journalism and ethics, right?
Law and ethics.
Law and ethics, okay.
A very challenging course.
And what would you apply from that course that you learned toward your position?
Well, getting my first bachelor's degree and master's degree in journalism afforded me the opportunity to have a career in marketing. And it was a global career, lasted a long time. And then I switched over and got my PhD in geography.
And so you understand world geography very well. How does that apply to your seat? Because you, as a U.S. Senator, you have to understand the world, and you are in a good position to do that.
Geography is a lost subject. You know, they don't teach it in grammar school and high school anymore like they used to. And geography is more than a map. You know, it's economics, it's government seats, it's industry, it's religion. Geography takes in every component imaginable.
And do you feel that what you have learned could make you a better senator, and how?
I feel well, I can answer it this way. I have the education, I have the experience, and I have the energy to be a good senator.
And what would your first, let's say, 2 priorities be?
I would support the president's agenda.
He has a wide agenda. What parts of the agenda do you support?
All of it.
Okay. Bushra, so when you decided to run, did you just saw that Representative Schakowsky was retiring, or have you always been trying to look for some seat that is very applicable to your agenda?
When I was first running for public office, I saw a lot of the times people would come to me with personal problems, and I never had a constituent services office, and was always that connector in the community to help plug people to the resources that government has to offer. I mean, growing up for me, government was the hand up, not handout, that my family really benefited from. And this definitely is something that it would be an honor and a privilege to serve my community in this way.
Awesome. Okay, Bushra Amiwala, if our viewers want to learn more about you, where should they go?
My website is bushraforcongress.com, and we're Bushra Amiwala on all social media platforms. Election day is March 17th. Please join us as either a volunteer or you can contribute to our campaign as well.
And spell your last name.
Amiwala, and then the website is Bushra, Bushra, for Congress.com.
Okay, and Cary, if our viewers want to learn more about you, where should they go?
rcarycapparelli.net. rcarycapparelli.net. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And from Bill Morton and me, Trudy Leong, thank you so much for watching Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show, and we will